Hello YouTube. Not many people out there know this about me, but I am a member of a public union. During these Wisconsin protests, I've heard a lot of union bashing from every right-wing person in this whole country. The first thing I've heard is that all the members of public unions are rich. Let me see if I can dissuade that argument. Looks like I got about $7 in my wallet. Oh, I know what happened. I must have left the rest of my money in my Rolls Royce. I hate when that happens. Also discussed by these right-wing media outlets is the fact that unions are unnecessary and destroy businesses. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth. Now, with millions of viewers watching these news shows, I can't help but think that Americans are getting brainwashed by these right-wing think tanks. Then the people at home get a false idea of unions and union members alike. Simmons, you're late again. Explain yourself. Oh, I went fishing with my buddies. I don't care. Excuse me? You can't talk to me that way. You can't talk to me like that. You can't talk to me like that. You can't drink on the job. Not your union card. Simmons, I'm sorry. You can do whatever you want at work. I'll be in my office, just do whatever you want. Please don't get anyone else riled up either. I can't take it. I'm sorry, Simmons. I'm sorry. Speaking as a member of a public union, I can honestly say that my day at work is nothing like this at all. There are only a few things that make my job different from those of a non-union worker, and I'd like to discuss them. First of all, being a union employee, you have the right to speak up when you disagree with your boss. You may be ignored by your employer anyway, but at least you have the right to speak your opinion when on the job without fear of getting fired. The second benefit to being a union member is that your employer has to actually follow rules and regulations in regards to your rights at the job. He or she cannot cut your pay, cut your benefits, or enforce any drastic actions that would strip you of your rights while on the job. The union contract, which is a signed agreement between the employees of a union shop and management, forces both employee and manager to follow clearly defined rules of what is expected of each party. And if a manager violates any of the rules in the contract, an employee may usually file a grievance, which is sort of like a complaint, to be sent to the local union office. Another great reason to be in a union is that workers are free from verbal abuse, threats, and intimidation from managers. I'm sure many of you out there probably have had jobs, or have jobs now, where a manager gets in your face and tries to make you feel small. Well, in a union-run shop, such things don't happen. And when they do, a grievance can be filed again, and the manager in question usually gets in trouble by his or her boss. Another factor these right-wing think tanks and pundits would mislead you on is the importance and history of unions in this country. At the height of the Industrial Revolution in this country, hundreds of thousands of people flocked to the cities to work in factories that were opening up in many eastern cities. Unfortunately for many of these people, the human condition did not match up with the technology of the day. By that, I mean that the people were treated more like parts of the very machines that they worked with at their jobs. Not only did workers toil 12 hours a day, every day for measly wages, but their young children were forced, through economic hardship, to have to work in the very same factories their fathers did. Years and years later, when workers finally struggled to get unions recognized by the companies they worked for, the 12-hour day was a thing of the past. Child labor was rallied against and eventually became illegal, and union workers as a whole made higher wages. Finally, the greatest reason why unions are a good thing for this country is that they put a restraint on the barbarism of unrestricted capitalism. The way the capitalistic system is structured is unfortunately based solely upon profit and does not allow for the human condition to be considered whatsoever. The same way that a CEO only sees dollar signs and his employees as cogs in a wheel to get said profit is essentially the same way even your own manager sees you. He or she is told by his or her boss to make sure that profit in their sector is reached and to not care about anything else. When a union is introduced, I see it as a kind of barrier being put between the company's profits and the workers. It forces the heads of said company to finally recognize the workers as human beings with wants and needs and not just parts of a machine, to be used, abused, and then spit out. The union basically tells a company, you must yield to your employees and at least meet them halfway at what your company wants and what your workers want. So, if anyone is watching this video and is still hesitant about unions, I urge you to actually ask a union member what they think about being in a union. Remember, union members are all around you. We're your friends, relatives, and community members. If you're still hesitant about unions, just ask them and they will tell you what kind of difference being in a union makes when you're at work. Thanks for watching and have a great day.